Hey, this is Therese, and I'm very excited that you are learning more about those sales conversation mistakes. Some of the mistakes are sort of like you don't know the flow of the conversation. And if you have listened to, I have a 45-minute audio, so some of you might have already listened to that audio. You'll hear about how to set up a conversation and how to make an offer and the ways to make the offer and how to handle objections. So if you didn't get that, message me, say, hey, give me that 45-minute webinar because I go through the specifics of how to do that. That's a really critical piece of it. But today I thought, what are some of the sales conversations mistakes? Because after you understand how to be really powerful in what you're offering, how to show up, how to basically take charge of the conversation, what order to put all the elements, how to handle when somebody says, can I think about it? The rest is here. The rest is all literally your mindset. I've discovered this working with hundreds of students in this program. It's when you can understand what's going on inside of you, when you can figure out like, oh, the reason I'm breaking down here, the reason I'm not getting these results, it's not because I don't have a system. It's not because I don't know a script. So I want to talk to you about some of the mindset issues. And I'm just going through, the questions that you answered. Where you took the little assessment. I'm just going to talk about some of this stuff. So number one, do you have money issues? And I will tell you that nothing is going to get you like having to ask somebody to pay money for you. So that's the place. The very first starting point is, in step number one of my selling formula is owning your value. And if you do not understand the difference between the transformation you create for your clients and the transaction of what they will pay for that, you're always going to default to, gosh, can I really charge? And so the way to get around this piece, the mindset around this, is you basically pump yourself up ahead of time. You come to the call, if you could get into the state, literally get your physiology into the state of the most confident moment you've ever had. For me, it's I'm speaking, there's like 800 people in the room, I'm on fire. Like when I can activate that back into my cells, back into my body, I can own it, right? So you want to start a selling conversation by asking your body to remember your confidence, to remember what a badass you are, to remember all the people you've helped. That's the first one. Like, how are you setting yourself up? If you go into a call going, oh crap, I need the money, or oh my God, I hope they don't say no, it's not so good. So you want to start the foundation by literally bringing the cellular memory, because we all have those times when we're on freaking fire, or that testimonial you read, or the time you made somebody cry because you just cracked the code, right? So have that going. All right. Another one is in selling conversations, oftentimes we make mistakes because we don't control them. And what do you do if within 5 minutes you just assess, this is not the right person? So like a couple things. Number one, you should have vetted the person earlier. That's a mistake. It's just anybody that wants to talk to you. Lots of people have forms to fill out. There's processes before you. Nobody just gets to pick up the phone and call you and say, hi, I want to talk to you about working with you. Generally, it's good to have a few little hurdles to have people jump through. Now, on one hand, really, is that the easiest thing to do? To me, if somebody's not willing to answer a few questions, they're not going to be a good client. So what do you have in place, number one, to vet the people? And number two, in your own mind, can you say no? Like if somebody reaches out, somebody puts a thing in your form or says, I want to talk to you, are there some criterion? Because why spend 30, 45 minutes on the phone with somebody that after the first 5 is not your ideal market? So a super easy thing to do is just basically throw your fees out there. That's one. Now, there's 2 schools of thought on that. Some people say, nope, I want to get to know them first. I want to have a conversation. Another school of thought is, look, I don't want to deal with it. If you can't pay my $5,000 or $10,000, I need to know that that's not that's not appropriate for you, right? So what I have done in the past is early on in the conversation, get to know them a little bit. And I will just say, so let me just ask really quickly, how had you planned on paying for the coaching, and what is your budget? And if somebody comes back and says, I don't know, I was thinking about $100 a month, I'll just say, yeah, so no. Instead of doing a whole 45-minute interview and then getting that information, you could start that in the beginning. Because again, our time is valuable, and it's not fair to them and to you that it's just not a match from the beginning. So another conversational mistake people make often is getting really attached. Ooh, do you ever find that? Do you ever find like, oh my God, either I need the money of the client, or, oh my God, they would be the best client. I have to work with this person. So how do you get yourself out of the hook of being attached? Because that's a tough one, right? Like when you want it more for them than they want it, that's not an easy one to overcome. Now, I can share with people. I'll say, I would love to work with you. Oh my gosh, you are my ideal client. I would have so much fun. And if they say no, it's a no. So you might want to look at what's the story in your head. I believe in abundance, basically. And I believe that what's ours is ours. And even if it's not right now, maybe they'll come back later. But I want you to look at the stories. Like a lot of the attachments, a lot of the mental challenges happen because we create stories in our head. All right. Do you ever feel like, God, I just don't want to have sales calls. Ugh, why do I have to do that? That is really bad energy to start a conversation with. Okay. I want you to get over that. I've coached in the past people that were in network marketing. I used to do some training for network marketing around their selling teams. And they would say, oh, we don't sell. We're just redirecting buying dollars. I'd say, bullshit. You can't even say you're selling. How do you think you're going to be selling? You've got to. So this is my charge to you. You got to embrace. And maybe you're just selling by messenger, or maybe you're just selling through an email. But I want you to own, like, this is sacred. I get to have a conversation with somebody. We get to see if I could be the solution for them. What's the problem there, right? So I want you to look at, like, one of the mistakes people make literally is they resent that they have to sell. Now, sometimes, when businesses hit multiples of six figures, they create selling teams. I'm talking to the people that if you're up for sale, you're doing the selling. It's just better that way, because what's going to happen is you're going to bump into your stuff, which personally, I love that, because you're going to find where you're holding back, where you're afraid to lean in, where you don't want to push them, where you don't want to offend them, where you don't want to brag about yourself. The selling conversations are so freaking rich with like juicy, yummy, like, I didn't know that lived in me. Ha! So, you know me, I'm all about diving in and just like, God, discover what's holding me back, right? And so the challenge is, can you embrace sales conversations? Can you just make it like, cool, I get to have a conversation. You got a problem, I got a solution. Let's see if we can make this happen so you can get better and I can do the great work I'm supposed to do in the world. So I want you to reframe, not I have to have a selling conversation. I get to have a conversation. Wahoo, right? For me, the way I hold it is, this is sacred. This conversation is sacred, and I will get you a breakthrough. You might not buy from me, but you will learn something about yourself. You will have, like, I'm so committed to bringing value that to me, it's a gift, it's a blessing. But if you don't like them, you're going to have some trouble. Okay, a huge place to break down is, of course, objections. Oh my gosh, that is one of the top places where people they just, And in my 45-minute webinar I did, I talked a lot about that. So again, if you didn't get that webinar, just message me, because some people come in from the webinar and some people are just getting this little product independently and you haven't seen the webinar yet. So message me and say, give me that webinar. But I will tell you, with the selling conversation, lean into the objections. Number one, think about how hard it is to say no. Think about how hard it is as a prospective buyer. You like this person, you admire them, you don't know what their rates are, and you're excited. And it's like, oh, I can't afford to do that, or I'm scared, or whatever the objection is. Think of the courage it takes somebody to say that. And instead of being annoyed, taking it personally, or like, oh shit, I got to now trick them into signing up. Not that any of you would do that. What if you honored that? One of the trainers that I have studied with says, always agree with them. You say yes, and I agree with you, basically. And so what that looks like, if somebody says, wow, $10,000 is a lot of money, you could say, yeah, it is. You don't want to say, no, it's not. What's wrong with you? Don't you want it badly enough? You've got issues. You want to say, yeah, I know, it is. You can also say, what are you comparing it to? Because we all have my cousin's friend down the street is a life coach and they only charge $50 a session. We all have those stories, right? So lean in, acknowledge their objection. I hear you, yes. Because what you do in that moment is they go, she's not going to fight me, or he's not going to finagle me. And then you could ask the comparison. Like, well, what were you, yes, what did you think it was going to cost? Or what do you base that on? Another one, and this is a huge one, and I don't talk about this often enough. I think when people hesitate, they don't trust themselves. Because how many of you I've done it, we've taken programs, we've worked with mentors, and we haven't gotten the results we desire, right? And so there literally is this like, wow, is it going to happen again? I put money out. And so for me, I lean into all those pieces. So I'll say, who is it that you don't trust, you or me? Most people aren't even aware that they might not trust themselves. But if you get that intuitive hit, that like, yeah, I think, because you might hear like, well, I don't know if I'm going to get the results, or last time I didn't get the results. You could literally say, do you not trust yourself that you can get the results? And what I say is, I trust me. I've done this thousands of times. I have thousands of hours into this thing, and I know what I bring. And I know the container with me. I know what's possible. But I hear you that you don't trust yourself. So then that's a different conversation than I don't have the money. See what I mean? So if you just lean into the objections, lean in. Don't even just go, oh, you don't trust yourself. Okay, sorry, call me back, right? You want to really see if you can just pull up whatever is there. All right. I hope this has been helpful for you. So remember, you set up a conversation powerfully. You get yourself to remember the badass that you are. You understand why you are the one to work with. You look at your money issues. You look at, am I allowed to say that? Am I allowed to charge that? You look at, how can I reframe selling? You get to the point of just like, it's just conversation. I want to freaking help you. And the only way to do it is to get this little conversation handled so we can get on to doing the work, right? And so my question for you is, how can you reframe selling as being of the highest service? Because that is the greatest mistake people make, is that they have just such negative energy around the concept of selling. And then they bring all their own stuff to it, and it's just a train wreck. So it really is, the biggest mistake people make is not being, it's not that, I can give you a script, I could tell you how to say it and what to say and when to say it. That's not going to do it. It's how do you show up? Are you powerful? Are you leaning into objections? Are you challenging them when they need challenged? Are you letting them go when they're not the right clients? That's the thing. And if I could support you in any way, reach out. ts@thereseskelly.com and look for more emails, because you've signed up for this. You're going to get some more emails, some more teachings, some more help with handling objections and what else to say. In the meantime, peace and blessings. It's been really great to be with you. Bye now.